Now having a daughter, I can honestly say I birthed the business.
Yes.
The same way I birthed my daughter.
I-
So much sacrifice, so much work, so much love and commitment and passion is just, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. As soon as there's someone picking into, I don't think I like the box that way. You're just like, okay, you already
made that.
But I chose that.
Right.
And I put that there. I don't even believe that it's not yours anymore.
Right.
Walking down the street, thinking about her exit, breaking down the steps so every founder gets it. She's the exit whisperer, she's opening the door. It started with a whisper, now that whisper's gonna roar. She just sold her company, and here you get the real story. Shh, you could be next. Walking down the street, thinking about her exit.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Exit Whisperer. I am Carrie Kirpin, your host and teller of all of the exit tales. Today I have a fresh story. It's fresh, because I've got Kristine Tokonow here with me, who is the founder of The Conery. Now, here's what's so incredible about Kristine's story. Not only is she literally fresh off of her exit, meaning that it has happened very recently at the time of this recording, but also she came up with an idea that just didn't exist, which was, why can't we make ice cream cones fresh, different, interesting, cool? Like we make it with everything else. There's 8,000 different water bottles out there and different types of water. Why can't we do the same thing with ice cream cones? And what I love about her story is she has a great idea and then she figures out how to bootstrap that through to execution. And like, it's a scrappy story. It's a smart story. It's an honest story. It's a raw story. And I can't wait for you to take a listen. Kristine, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, you're fresh off an exit.
Yes.
Like fresh.
Super fresh.
Like super fresh. Like as fresh as the cones that you made at the Conery. Fresh.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Talk to me about the Conery. Tell me about how it got its start and how you got it off the ground.
So we'll travel back in time to like 2013. I've always had a baking culinary background.
Okay.
I've always been really passionate about food and sweets. My prior career was in operations, so like hospitality, luxury hotels, food and beverage. And I had this idea. And that's so cliche, but that's kind of a lot of
But
times.
it's real.
Yes.
It's real.
It's a lot of times how it starts. And I wondered why we were still eating the same garbage cone.
Yes.
There's so much variety in food.
Yes.
So many options. I mean, there's 20 vitamin water, 10 coconut waters, 20 different kinds of popcorns, but it's only one cone. So it's like the cake cone, the sugar cone,
That's
the waffle cone.
hysterical.
That's
I've
it.
never even really thought of it.
Exactly. It's an afterthought, right? It's never, a point of focus. So I thought about, what if we had delicious cones that had different ingredients baked into the cones and you can pair them with your ice creams and this kind of fun culinary cone, a more innovative take on the cone. So I started extremely small, extremely scrappy, bought a little waffle iron, made recipes, tested things, went to street fairs, sold at street fairs. So it was a very organic grassroots beginning. And it really started with me going door to door to ice cream shops in New York City, like, hey, try my cones. And it was something innovative and different. So it required some education and a hand sell, which I was so passionate about the product and I believed in it. And they're delicious. They just are. So
I am picturing you going door to door to ice cream shops.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you're in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Okay. And how does it go from Kristine going door to door to ice cream shops to having like a manufacturing plant and like being this big thing ends up selling to having Disney, it carries you and all of it.
Sure.
Tell me, how does that happen?
Oh boy, so a lot of hard work, a lot of hustle, a lot of grind, but it's really just nonstop sales and pushing the product, making it the best it possibly could. Awareness. I think Instagram then and social media in 2014 was so different, as you know.
Yes.
A lot of features and press happened organically. People would just kind of knock on your door and say, oh, wow, you're doing something really cool.
Okay, so I get that you start getting traction, but how do you decide that you're going to take the investment to the next level, right? Like I assume you totally bootstrapped this.
Yes,
You did this yourself.
We did.
So what was the turning point that went to that growth, that took it to the next level? Where was that trajectory?
Let's see. So we had bought some equipment. All the equipment had to be customized because it's such a niche item. It's very specialized. So we had to source and customize all the machinery.
Yeah.
Big headache. But it helped with barriers to entry. There were not many, people doing this, and there were a lot of barriers to entry. So we started purchasing machinery. We started it was really like cart before the horse. So we started pushing the sales and seeing that the idea worked. And then, okay, let's get another machine. Let's figure out how to make more from the machine. Let's bring on more people. Let's, streamline operations so that we're maximizing every minute, every second. Like, how many cones can we make an hour? How do we make the batter faster? How do we do this? So really like the logistics and the operation of production.
Who helped you, take that idea? Who was with you along the way to help bring it to that level of professionalism?
So my parents played a really big role in helping me take the business off the ground, but to the next level. My dad was pivotal in the machinery part. I mean, he's kind of like a jack of all trades, like a MacGyver of sorts. He has no engineering background, but we learned so much in the process. My mom was so strong with packaging. She did the books. She helped, do customer service, like lots of different positions that we didn't have any team. We didn't have any staff. So we just kind of did everything. And we grew it, just day over day and small until we started growing. And we realized that the business had legs, that the people loved the product. And we started getting interest from Whole Foods and cruise lines and amusement parks. And then it was like, oh, people actually really like it.
Wow. So at what point is that in the journey? Like, where are you? What year are you when you start to realize that we're getting real interest and getting this really big?
Probably like 4 years in.
Okay.
So a couple of years because, again, we just really, bootstrapped and we were really small time and we just really took it day by day. At one point, I was still working my previous job, so there was that overlap until I kind of jumped ship. So it was really slow. I would say about fifth year, like 2018, 19 was when we had a larger space. And then in end of 2019, we moved to 10,000 square feet. So it took a couple years to really get it to that point, for sure.
Okay. And I guess I want to know from you, when you started with that idea, did you envision that it would get to that, or did it sort of happen organically?
I always had big dreams. I always approached it very large mindset, like we're gonna be the biggest cone manufacturer in the world. And now knowing how hard that is, like here we go, let's backtrack it. But I had grand visions. I think a lot of entrepreneurs do when you start, and then you're hit with reality, and different challenges along the road. But we just really set out to make delicious cones. That was always the goal: is to be innovative, to be creative, to choose the ingredients, to be selective about what we were putting in them, to really make them delicious. Because a cone is just crispy, it's sweet, it's crunchy. We just wanted to take a completely different approach to cone making and make it really like artisan.
So it sounds like it was a mix of dreaming big and product obsession, really focused on that product. So 2019, you have 10,000 square feet and you're hustling and it's hard and it's all of it and you're going through the time. So what happens as you start to get bigger? How does your mindset start to shift?
I think in 2019, we were very growth driven. We had commissioned a machine to be built to automate the process. And at that point, we had a couple machines. So we were really making a lot of product. We grew it to be able to scale the production. That was the goal. And efficiency and, introducing new flavors and really driving the niche because it's a very niche type of product.
Of course.
But really focusing on who are our whales, who are our big drivers, who really moves the needle, and how do we expand on that? So in 2019, we commissioned a machine to be built, and then we moved into a bigger space in anticipation of the machines and just the growth in general, needing a bigger team, needing more inventory space, needing more, having pallets of product. Where do you ship them? Where do you build them? Just all the logistics of growth. And so 2019 comes. That was also, I got married that year. So we're on a high here.
So you're growing up through this business, get married.
We're on a high. We're moving. It's all happening.
Yep.
And then 2020.
I wonder when my podcast will not have that as the critical inflection point for so many businesses.
Yeah.
It's all of us.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's everybody.
Yes.
It's like, and then 2020 happened. And it's like either as a result, business grows, business dips, business. Okay. So what happens to the conery when COVID hits?
We were, I would say 80% of our business was food service. So theme parks and restaurants.
I mean, you're
and
at Disney.
Ice cream shops, and 20% was retail.
Yeah.
So grocery, specialty grocery. And so that year, all of our food service customers were really hurting.
Yeah,
so
of
it was
course.
very insensitive to send
course.
that, are you ordering email?
Hi.
No,
there's nobody
we couldn't-
coming.
Exactly.
Nobody's here.
We couldn't do
Yes.
that. So we really focused on retail.
Yep.
So we sold as much as possible. We started working with new grocery stores, new distributors, new retailers, any way we could pump life into the business during that year. And it was very hard. We made it in the black, which was good.
Amazing.
Right?
Yep. And you didn't have investors to report to. This is your just
it was just
surviving.
and us in our own.
Yep. Your own desire for success and just getting through it. But what happens to you personally going through that? Let's talk a little bit about burnout.
Yeah. So 2020, that's all happening. And what's interesting is 2020, although COVID was happening, the shutdown, the staff, for me, that wasn't my most difficult year. It wasn't horrendous.
Right.
I would say 2021 was horrendous. I think of 2021 as the year that broke me, quite honestly. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through this, and we have to be so resilient. We have to put the face on every day. We have to guide that ship through the stormy waters because no one else will. And we're tied into lease. We have a lease on our some of us. We have employees, we have customers, we have so many people that are relying on us and responsibilities that we can't just say, I don't want to do this anymore. You could, but.
What was it that really you felt like was the breaking point? What was the trigger?
In 2021, I think coming out of COVID was a real rebuild for everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't make it, unfortunately. A lot of businesses, kind of couldn't absorb the debt they incurred in 2020.
Absolutely.
No amount of PPE or PPP or any of that could make up for the loss that they experienced. And there was just this shortage of everything. So shortage of supplies. Everything was so expensive. It was hard to get flour, it was hard to get sugar, hard to get boxes. Like any of the basic things that were no-brainers became very difficult to source.
Yes.
No one wanted to work. It was very hard to find labor.
Yeah.
And this is a product and a business that is so reliant on physical labor of people actually making the product. It was so hard to come up for air. Any moment, it was just one after another.
But
and I was pregnant.
And you were pregnant.
I was pregnant.
But you can't just turn it off at this point.
No.
You've incurred all these expenses. You have all of this. You've got to find your way out of it.
Absolutely.
Did you think about in 2021 where you're like, okay, that's it, I'm selling?
So I don't know if it was as stark as that, but it was this slow burn of, every day just experiencing hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like no other way to put it.
You're pregnant. Nobody wants to come to work. It's taking forever for supplies to come in.
Orders took weeks to deliver. And I mean, we're talking ice cream cones, so it's time sensitive. If you can't get orders out in the summer, I mean, what are you even doing? I had people like yelling at, customers yelling at me like, what kind of business are you running?
So this is really important because I think one thing that you did that I admire so much is like, you knew in 21 that you were done, and yet you didn't sell until 25. You were able to re-energize yourself enough to position the company for sale in a great way.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how you did that. How did you come back from that place in 21 and get to sale?
So I think we just keep our heads down and we push through. And it's so hard and it takes a toll on us, but we do it. We're resilient. I would tell everyone that I'm like a cockroach, essentially. Like you can't kill me.
Yeah.
I'm going to power through.
Yep.
I'm going to keep going even when it's really hard. And that's what makes I think, in my opinion, a successful entrepreneur.
I agree. It's the stick-to-itiveness. It's the resilience.
Yeah.
It's all of it. You're going to stick it out. And it's just the one who lasts the longest, really.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I think it's very glamorized to be an entrepreneur. Like, it's so cool, and I'm my own boss. I make my own schedule. But essentially, it's the hardest. I mean, it's the hardest thing to do, and especially in the bad times. That's what really makes you who you are and shapes the kind of entrepreneur you are through the bad times.
So at what point do you decide you're going to meet with somebody to inquire about selling, and then what point do you actually sell?
In 21, like I said, I started questioning things. You know, we had a really hard year. I was pregnant. I had my daughter in November. The machine that we waited 2 years for, well, it comes, it doesn't work, right? You know, so a lot of difficulties, challenges, letdowns in 2021. And it kind of just, this thought in my mind, you don't have to do this.
Right.
It doesn't have to be this way.
You're not stuck.
You're not stuck.
You feel stuck.
Right.
But you're not stuck.
You feel stuck. It doesn't have to be like this. You're choosing to do this. It can be different. And I started like talking myself off the ledge in that way, and my husband as well, just saying, you know, you have a choice.
Yes.
It's not immediate.
Yes.
But we can see it through, and that's when I started thinking about it.
Okay.
What would life look like on the other side? Is this sellable? Is this worth anything? You know, I don't want to stop it because it's such a great business. Yeah. Meanwhile, you know, 21 was hard, but we went on to have the best 3 years after 21. We grew, you know, double-digit growth. The profits grew. The customer base grew. We had inquiries from such amazing high-profile customers and all that. And I knew that the business was something, right? You don't want to just end it. It feels like a waste.
Yeah.
You know?
And one of the things I know that you mentioned to me, and I would love to shout her out too, is you had a great advisor who told you that there was more work to be done before she took it to market, which I think is always so important when you have a good broker, somebody like that who's telling you. Yeah. So when you first approached her, what were some of the things that she told you, work on this in order to get this ready? She
thought the business was great. She was like, but I think it could be worth more, or I think it could grow further if you focus on, you know, in terms of profitability, some of the, you know, expenses that you could tighten up here, or, you know, the customer roster, or, you know, good success stories with some of those customers, tenure with some of those big customers, growth within the customers. For instance, you know, having one distributor partner in one region, but expanding to 6 other regions across the country. So lateral growth amongst the current customers, and just really building the story. Because it was, you know, at the heart of it, it was a small business and production, and it was gritty and it was labor intensive, and we had to kind of make the story more beautiful. And, you know, she was wonderful. She really advised me and guided me in the direction in terms of numbers, in terms of, you know, what it should look like, the story, the paper. And that was in, I would say 2022 is when I had first met her and reached out to her. And we went to market in September 2023. So almost like a year and a half later. And that's another thing. It just, there's so much time.
It takes a lot of time.
Everything, you have to be patient. Yes. So although you're dying inside in 2021 and you know you want to leave, it just doesn't work like that. You have to be kind of strategic and patient and really see it through, because you took so long to build it. You've put your heart and soul into it. It's not this rash decision that you can make overnight and just, you know, be done with it. It's just, it's not fair to do it that way either.
When you put it up for market, how was that process for you, and talking to different potential acquirers and the entire experience? Talk to us about that.
So difficult, because this is your baby. And, you know, now having a daughter, I can honestly say the business, I birthed the business.
Yes.
The same way I birthed my daughter.
I totally understand.
Right? And you have such an attachment to it. The roots are so strong.
Yeah.
And, you know, putting it up for market is really, you're exposing yourself. You're in a very vulnerable position.
Yes.
And I had no skeleton. I mean, nothing. Having done everything, I had every document, everything, you know, for due diligence, for anyone curious. I was very proud of what I was presenting. And that wasn't, I never felt nervous or anything in that. It was just the emotional journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So you end up selling, and all of a sudden, it's not yours anymore.
Yeah.
And I know this is really, really fresh for you in this process. Talk to me about the day after and beyond.
I think a few things. I think it took a long time, even for a small business. It due diligence was 6-7 months, and you're sitting in that discomfort for that time. And throughout that time, you're kind of wondering, what am I going to do? What's this going to be like? What on the other side? I'm an employee, on March 12th. On March 13th, I'm an employee. I had all, so in my head, so overthinking it. I mean, which we do, but I think the journey was so difficult and just time consuming leading up to it. And then the day comes and you feel relieved that the journey of the sale is over because
that's arduous. That's arduous.
Oh, it's so arduous. And at every step of the way, it's like, well, this and that. It's like, we've discussed that 3 times. Why are we talking about that again? So patience again, which I'm not the best at. Patience for the process, but it's this disbelief. It's like this, you cannot even come to terms. You cannot even believe that it's not yours anymore. Right. And you look at it and it's the difference of a day, of a contract, of a signature. And you just see, I mean, for me, 12 years of so much sacrifice, so much work, so much love and commitment and passion is just, it's gone. It's gone. No one, and so I worked continuously, during the transition for about 3-4 months after. And it helped that I really liked my buyer, super professional. We got along really well, but it's not you. And already, as soon as there's someone picking into, I don't think I like the box that way. You're just like, okay, you already that. But I chose that, and I put that there, and I did that. So I think the shorter, I knew going into it as well, the shorter we could make it, even if we got along and everything was, and I think we had a great transition, the better. The shorter we can make it, the better, because it's just hard seeing someone rip apart the pieces
100%
that you've built. 100%. So stayed on after that, and but that day it was just in disbelief. You don't even feel like it's just happened. And I think I didn't feel like it happened. I was still working there. I was still getting up every morning. I was still doing the same hours, still doing my normal routine. And then some of my team who was with me, 2 people on my team were with me over 4 years. And they were like, you have to stop. You have to stop. Get off this floor. Stop. Because you have to start thinking about this differently and disconnecting yourself from it.
I know.
At that point still, every cone that came out, let me, just being so involved. Well, that's not right, or that doesn't look good, or put that on the side, or someone new, or just really being part of it. But it's not. What are you doing?
So you keep the transition short.
Yes.
And then the transition's over.
Yeah.
What's next for you? How do you spend your days when you're figuring it out?
I wondered about if I should just cut it off or do this slow, gradual decline, goodbye. And the buyer was great. And he said, you can stay, I'll have you as long as you want. And it was very nice. And I said, I think it is just best for us both if we just kind of stop it there, because you'll be able to, take the reins and it'll be yours. As long as I'm here, everyone's going to keep coming to me and asking me.
And you'll have trouble detaching too.
Exactly. And I said, and I think from an emotional standpoint, I have to start discovering what's next for me. And so I think, in the Monday, that Monday after, I went to lunch with my mom, we hung out, I did a lot of the things that I never did. And, whether that's just perusing Target for 2 hours with a coffee and just, looking through the aisles, or walking, Washington Square Park, just leisurely. I did a lot of these things that I hadn't done in 12 years, or just never had the headspace, a quiet mind to do these things. And I kind of leaned into that. I'm a very A-type personality. I like my routine. I like my schedule. So we go from, everyone calling you being so important at the top of the food chain, the queen of the kingdom, to just nothing.
To silence.
Silence. Maybe a few things here and there, like, hey, checking in, how you doing? My birthday was the month later, so I had some happy birthday texts from the team, but that was it. And I think it's strange and it's uncomfortable, but we have to remember the why. I had to keep going back to the why and why I did it. And I never wavered through the sale. You know, my husband is such a firm believer. Even when I say, I don't know what I did. My husband's like, you have to remember how you felt.
Yes.
And you never wavered once.
Yes.
You, even, through all the suitors that came, you never said, I think I want to double down or
Right.
I want to keep going
Right.
or.
No, you just knew. And we've talked about this, about the chapters. I just think like that was your Conery chapter.
Yeah.
And whatever's next for you.
Right.
First of all, I think the practice of learning to sit in the silence is so good and something I struggle with all the time.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah, very
I
hard.
jumped right on into this. So it's really hard. But I think also once you've sat with that silence and you feel ready,
Yeah.
you'll have another amazing idea.
Yeah, I hope
And
so.
something will come. You will. You will. You know,
I know.
it's built within you.
Yeah.
And so, I all of that to say for founders who exit before retirement, which by the way, I talk to women who sell their businesses in their 70s and don't, have a next act. Like they don't.
We're not done.
Right. We're not done. And so
know.
I
And
think
that's okay.
that idea, it's not only okay, it's great if that's what they want to do.
Of course.
But I think you're right that learning to sit in that space is key. And I'm so happy that you got the opportunity to do that. And I'm so impressed with the story of the Conery.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah.